Welcome to Master Mathematics in Minutes. Today's topic is the laws of Surds, and we'll look at a couple of examples on how we apply the laws of Surds. And we'll conclude the topic with a summary. And finally, be kind and subscribe for more videos. So what are the laws of Surds? We'll start off by defining what surds mean. So surds are irrational roots. So an example of a surd is the square root of 3, and that equals 1.73205, and that is an irrational number because the decimals do not terminate. And so that is the definition of a surd. So square root of 5 is another example of a surd because it is an irrational number. So what are the laws of surd? So the first law states that the square root of x times the square root of y is equals to the square root of x times y. And that's the first law. And the second law states that the square root of x divided by the square root of y is equals to the square root of x divided by y. And that's the second law. And the third law states that if you have a constant c multiplied by the square root of x plus a constant c multiplied by the square root of y, you're able to factorize c outside of brackets. And what remains within brackets is the square root of x plus the square root of y. And that's the third law. And the fourth law states that c, which is a constant, times the square root of x plus d, which is a constant, times the square root of x, is equals to, we're able to factorize the square root of x outside of the brackets, and what's left inside the brackets is c plus d. And that is law number 4. So we'll take a look at a couple of examples on how we apply these laws. So the first example is where we're asked to simplify the square root of 2 times the square root of 3. So we'll apply the first law. So the square root of 2 times the square root of 3, according to the first law, we're able to take the square root of 2 multiplied by 3. And that simplifies the square root of 6. In the second example, we're asked to simplify the square root of 10 divided by the square root of 5. And so we'll apply the second law. So we have the square root of 10 divided by the square root of 5. We can rewrite that in fractional form as the square root of 10 divided by the square root of 5. And according to the second law, that is equals to the square root of 10 divided by 5. And that simplifies to the square root of 2. And the third example is where we're asked to simplify 2 times square root of 4 plus 2 times square root of 25. So we'll apply the third law. So 2 times the square root of 4 plus 2 times the square root of 25, we're able to factorize the constant of 2 outside of the brackets. And we have square root of 4 plus square root of 25 inside the brackets. And we have the 2 outside of the brackets, and square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of 25 is 5. And 2 plus 5 is 7, and we'll keep the 2, and 2 times 7 is equals to 14. So in the fourth example, we're asked to simplify 5 times the square root of 4 plus 7 times the square root of 4. And we'll apply the fourth law. So 5 times the square root of 4 plus 7 times the square root of 4 is where we're able to factorize the square root of 4 outside of the brackets. And that leaves us with 5 plus 7 inside the brackets. And the square root of 4 is 2, and 5 plus 7 is 12. So 2 times 12 is equals to 24. So to summarize, the first law states that the square root of x times the square root of y is equals to the square root of x times y. And the second law states that the square root of x divided by the square root of y is equal to the square root of x divided by y. And the third law is where we have a constant c times the square root of x plus c times the square root of y, and we're able to factorize the constant c outside of the brackets. And what's left in the brackets is the square root of x plus the square root of y. And the fourth law states that for a constant c times the square root of x, and for a constant d times the square root of x, we're able to factorize the square root of x outside of the brackets. And what's left is c plus d inside the brackets. Thank you very much for watching. This is Master Mathematics in Minutes.